Well, we got a whole bunch of Transformer listings to cover here today on the Transformer Slag podcast. A big, diverse listings of all different kinds of stuff, all different kinds of lines and price points within our hobby. And we're going to break it down like we always do here on the Transformer Slag podcast, keeping you educated, entertained, and informed. And these listings are all brand new 2024 products. And the first one we're going to be jumping into, courtesy of JT Prime 17, is a brand new addition to our Transformers G.I. Joe crossover subline. This line up to this point now, we know of 4 different ones. 3 of them we've seen, 1 of them we have not seen yet. And this would be the 5th one to join that of this extensive line that keeps marching forward. And it's a Transformers X G.I. Joe M.O.B.A.T. Optimus Prime with General Hawk. So finally, the leader of the Autobots is getting a release. There was so much worry of what are they going to use, what alt mode are they going to use. Can't use the Rolling Thunder because that design is so huge. And if it's supposed to be to scale to work with those O-ring figures, that would be a massive toy. That would be almost a city former, a Titan class, if you will, compared to, let's say, fighting against a His-Tank Megatron. So they figured it out, and they used the M.O.B.A.T, which for people who aren't G.I. Joe fans, the M.O.B.A.T is one of those very first G.I. Joe vehicles when that line debuted, the Real American Hero, in '82. So it's that quintessential G.I. Joe tank. And it was a really cool little tank. It was a motorized tank, worked on 2 D-cell batteries. It was able to scale across rough terrain and stuff with its treads. Really cool little vehicle. And that vehicle came with Steeler. That was the driver that came with that one. And obviously what that we've seen with the G.I. Joe line in general, they like to use iconic characters with the G.I. Joe Transformer line to be included with these Transformer characters. So because it's going to be Optimus Prime as the M.O.B.A.T, they want to use General Hawk, have a G.I. Joe leader with an Optimus Prime Autobot leader to have that balance there. It just makes sense. We didn't get a His-Tank driver with the His-Tank. We got Baroness. So it just makes sense. And so I think this is really hype. I'm looking forward to it. The M.O.B.A.T was kind of one of those, again, iconic vehicles from G.I. Joe and a real piece of that early history of the brand. And using Optimus Prime with it, that'll scale well with the His-Tank Megatron, just works perfect, in my opinion. Works out great. Probably won't be motorized, though. I doubt that. But everything else will be pretty hype about it. Again, we don't have price points yet. We don't have a release date, but considering that we still haven't seen the Triple T that turns into Cup that comes with Sergeant Slaughter, and that's the 4th release in this lineup, we're probably going to see that first before we even see the Optimus Prime with General Hawk. So stay tuned with that. We'll keep you updated here on the Transformer Slag podcast. Going from G.I. Joe, now we're going to talk about Target exclusives, but more specifically Target exclusives in relation to Studio Series. So the reason why I bring that up before we even get into the listing itself is because we learned a couple of weeks ago that the Buzzworthy Bumblebee subline, a Target exclusive subline, will be discontinued in early 2024. And anything that's going to be Studio Series through Buzzworthy Bumblebee won't be the case anymore. It'll just be a raw exclusive product, much like Red Cog was, where it didn't have any Buzzworthy Bumblebee packaging on it. It was just a raw, straight up Target exclusive with none of that on it. So this is probably going to be the case with that too, where it won't be a Studio Series SS figure, much like the Cup or the Cliff Jumper or some of the reissues that we got. This is going to be a straight up Studio Series release that will be available at Target. And of course, if you're European or Canadian, probably Toys R Us or GameStop or stuff like that. And it's that of a Transformers Generation Studio Series 86 Voyager class blaster with eject. Now, it's pretty obvious what they're going to do here, at least in my opinion. They're probably going to take that late Kingdom, early Legacy Voyager class blaster figure that came with eject, give it the solid plastics for the translucent blues that it had initially, give it some better paint deco to give it even more of that screen accurate look, and then call it a day, and then we have a Studio Series 86 version. I do feel that if they really want to hammer home the accuracy, while the alt mode is perfectly fine, I don't think there's really much you need to do to that in terms of sculpting. The boombox mold, I think, you could probably fix it up a little bit to make the boombox more screen accurate, maybe retool it a little bit here and there in little areas. I see it could be done. But if they don't do it, at least extensive paint deco to kind of clean it up too, because there was a lot of weird black areas on that boombox mode to make it look more screen accurate. But I dig it. Again, Blaster was one of my first Transformer toys, so just excited to get a super screen accurate Blaster for the 86 movie. And that's the whole point of Studio Series, is to make it as screen accurate as possible. And when we saw that Kingdom Legacy one and Eject was clear, translucent, we knew it was only a matter of time before we were going to see a re-release of these characters done in a more screen accurate look. So it is what it is. And as it stands right now with this release, it's going to be the fourth version of this mold, because we had the original, we had the twin cast version, we had the shattered glass one, and now we're going to have this one here too. So four releases out of one mold. Hasbro did what they needed to do. And going from Target exclusives to now Amazon exclusives. Now this one here, it's an Amazon exclusive. It says here Tra-Gen Mayhem Deluxe 2-pack. Now the Mayhem might not just be exclusively just for this one release. This might actually be something of an entire line of Amazon exclusives. We've seen that already, where we had the Battle in Time stuff with the golden disc. We had the Wreckers line, and it might also be the case here with something like this, where this might be a Mayhem subline for Amazon and not just a single standalone deluxe 2-pack. This is the Mayhem Attack Squad. This was Bludgeon's crew that he led back in the day, and this leads to then a whole bunch of stuff. If this is multiple releases, that we could get a whole bunch of characters that just have floundered throughout the years to get modernized releases. Now, we've already come off of a Bludgeon and Needlenose in Legacy Evolution, so it's probably not going to be them featured in it. Even to go a little more back, we kind of already got a Spinister and a Flywheels and Siege, so are they going to be part of this? Probably not, but there is a possibility of stuff like Battle Trap and Octopunch. We haven't seen updates of them since Power of the Primes. Characters like Stragglehold. My goodness, it's been like 35 years since this guy got a new toy. Yes, it's been that long. So just the way that they do Pretender shells today, where they could figure out using a classical kind of alt mode and mixing that with a classical kind of robot mode, and then using some elements from the Pretender shell onto it. So we're going to have a robot with a mustache for Stragglehold, which I'm totally for. I'm very curious how they would probably tackle something like that. Also, Mark and Evan, they like to complete their little micro collections of stuff, and two of those deluxe Insecticons were part of the Mayhem Attack Squad, and luckily those two were also two that we have not gotten updates of yet, Chop Shop and Venom. So pretty cool with that. We already got the Ransack through Buzzworthy Bumblebee, so that puts us one step closer to completing that four-man crew, assuming they use those two guys. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see Chop Shop and Venom at some point. I mean, those regular Insecticons were born for that. And dare I say, even the Beast Pretenders of Snarler, Carnivac, and Catilla, those guys haven't had updates in 36 years. So if they even want to dive into doing those characters, that would be pretty awesome. I don't know how they would do it. I doubt it would have Pretender shells, even though I would love that. But the opportunities do present themselves with this Mayhem line, assuming this isn't just a deluxe 2-pack and it's a standalone one. If it's an actual whole line, there's a lot that they could cover here. Now, granted, the whole line won't just be the Mayhem Attack Squad if that's the case. They'll obviously have to pepper in some Autobots just to have a versus kind of thing going on. But it will be very cool to see who they pick from this, because there is a crew of characters here that are desperately in need of update in the modern era. Next thing we're going to cover is a more kid-oriented kind of gimmick subline. This is the Mix Mashers. And the Mix Mashers, they're judging by these listings here, sounds very similar to what we got with the Hero Mashers back in 2014. This was a line that Hasbro pretty much took all the different IPs that they had under their umbrella, Transformers, Marvel, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, and then put a universal mix and mash limb and heads and parts price point kind of thing, where you had these figures that you could mix the parts and create your own characters. And when the Transformer ones obviously were not transformable, but you had a whole bunch of pieces and you could have fun with that. And here we have some different price points from different listing sizes. So like you have a basic figure Starscream, basic figure Optimus Prime, basic figure Bumblebee, deluxe figure Megatron, deluxe figure Optimus Prime, Sounds like Hero Mashers, because Hero Mashers had like a basic figure Optimus with some parts, and then they had a deluxe figure Optimus, which came with a whole bunch more parts and armor and stuff to mix and match. So it sounds very similar to, again, that Hero Mashers line. I wouldn't even be surprised if this Mix Mashers idea isn't exclusive to just Transformers. They'll probably do it with all their other IPs that they got also, and then you'll see a whole bunch of that. I know that, they pretty much like did everything from X-Men to like everything they could possibly do was used for that in 2014. Hasbro won't pass up that opportunity when they have the rights to that kind of stuff. Judging by the choice of characters, they're going with Legendary 7 people, so we'll probably see stuff like Grimlocks and, Soundwaves and everything at some point too. It is what it is. We'll keep you tuned in on that one. And the last thing we're going to be covering is Transformers 1 toy line related news. Now, we don't have a lot of information here, but the big takeaway from all of this we're going to be talking about is when this toy line will potentially be hitting, and we'll start to be able to pick up product of our brand new animated movie in 2024. So now, just a reminder, the Transformers 1 animated movie will be debuting in theaters September 13th, 2024, at least as of this recording. Things could change. But we do have a listing here from East Asia of one of the price points of the toys, and this might give us an idea of when the whole line itself might be hitting. And we have a release date of August 1st, 2024. So 1 month before the movie is potentially scheduled to come out. Makes sense. That's how it should be. Come out a month before, give people time to be excited about the movie and the products. They can pick that up. And then when the movie hits, then all that product is on shelves for them to go out and make impulse purchases. Transformers 1 has a listing here for Prime Changers. We have no idea what Prime Changers are. It could be anything. The exchange rate on this leads it to being about, $59.99 USD, so about $60. This could be anything. Could be a multi-pack of, deluxe-sized figures. Could be an oversized, gimmicky, big price point, expensive figure. We don't know. Again, this goes through exchange. So on top of this could maybe be a $49.99 when it's all said and done, because East Asia pays a little more for their robots. So we'll see what happens with that. But again, the big takeaway that we could take from this is that it will be coming out in early August of 2024. And that's it more or less for all the listings that we have today for 2024. Obviously, we'll get some new updates and information as the week progresses. And a reminder, the top 5 Transformers of 2024, according to the fans of the Transformer Slag podcast, will be going live later this week. So stay tuned for that. We got a lot of stuff to cover this week in the Transformer world. So thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you in the near future.